Ba-da, ba, ba, ba,
There we
ba-da,
go.
ba, ba-da.
We're up.
Hello, Michael.
Hello, New York, Vinnie. How's life?
Oh, it's just one fun moment after another. I mean, good golly,
I'm
as
trying
Ron
to.
Fairley used to say. Good golly.
I was trying to make a
Is
short
it
list
fun?
of things that are working in the world. The only thing I could come up with was the astronauts got back safely. But even in baseball, the Dodgers go to Japan, they can't win. Trump can't straighten these things out with the lawyers and the courts. Putin can't straighten out his peace talks. Zelensky thinks he's going to get left behind and sold for a bushel of wheat.
Oh, he is. Oh, he doesn't have to think that. He knows that.
It's done. I can't think of anything that's working except the
He knows
astronauts.
what's coming. Uh,
The Israeli war is back on full steam.
yes,
They
the
can't kill him fast enough.
I think yeah, I think
And I miss
every
Monday.
time
I
I
miss
think
Monday's show
that
with
the
back
Barry
pains.
McGuire song "Even Destruction" is going out of style,
It's
um,
back
it comes back.
with a bullet.
I remember a couple of years ago, I sat down and I tried to write new lyrics for it. And I also wrote a song called "Barry, You Screwed Up My Life," and it was all about hearing "Eve of Destruction" when I was 10 years old and thinking that, oh my God, it's made me it's brought anxiety into my life.
Well, you must believe we're on the eve of destruction. It just means that it's coming. It's coming tomorrow, and we're gonna have a party before that. It's gonna be a sponsorship party. It'll be the eve of destruction brought to you by Shomoko.
Yeah, well, I'm sure these days that is true. But I got to be honest with you. I think you made a good point. Is yesterday we brought the astronauts back to Earth safely, and it was a beautiful thing. I'm a space geek, so I watched that stuff.
Well, but weren't you worried?
Was I
With everything,
worried?
were you worried that they
No,
weren't going
they've
to get him
done
back
this a
safely?
million times before. I mean, the one that worries me is the one that when they send the rocket back and that arm comes out and catches it.
That didn't look
I
right.
sometimes I hope that Dave Kingman isn't operating that arm
No, you
because
don't
the
want Dave
rocket would
Kingman.
slip right through it.
You don't want Dave on any of the controls. He can observe only.
Yeah, kids, go look up Dave Kingman on your wikis. But no, I was confident that they would come back. I mean, there was a time. I mean, I think, Michael, we've been desensitized to space disasters a bit because we've seen two times now the shuttle blow up once on taking off on once in reentry. So I think we're cognizant of the dangers that this is not like getting in your car and driving down the corner to the 7-Eleven.
No, there's, in fact, the commentator yesterday that was on MSNBC said it's a very dangerous process, reentry. And then 10 minutes later, he said there's no danger involved in this process whatsoever. So he got it right the first time.
Yeah, I've always thought um, that that we have been lucky that we have not seen more disasters
Well, we
in
skated we
space
skated
flight.
around on this one. This one came too close.
Yeah, considering the time uh, that the amount of times that we have gone to space, not only us, but half the countries in the world now got a space program. I mean, the Indians are sending people up to space, so everybody's got a space program, and and they weren't using any Boeing equipment on this one, so I think that was a relief.
No, welcome back to Earth, brought to you by SpaceX, is what the commentator
Well,
said.
they seem to be able to do it. Them and a Blue Origin there um, seem to be able to bring people back safely and at what appears to be a much cheaper cost to the government.
Well, the SpaceX launches over the Caribbean, the last two went up in smoke, with particles being shed all over the airspace. They had to shut down airports all across the Caribbean and the southern Gulf Coast because their last two efforts launched out of Texas blew to smithereens.
Yeah, but two out of how many? I
Well,
mean,
the
again,
point being, it was their last two.
yeah, I think that again we have had a great record of not blowing things up, but we also have a record of blowing things up. And again, we you don't know until you go. And I don't know that um, I don't know. I'm not that familiar with it to know what their, I mean, two rockets blew up. Were there experiments going on? Were they using a different kind of fuel? What were the circumstances around them? That's something that if I didn't have 9 million other things going on in my life, I would, you would look at that more. But the advantage the rich people have is we all have to worry about making our checks get together, so that one meets the other, and we don't get things like thrown out of your house or having to visit a food bank or something like that. So ships blowing up off of the launching pad. I don't know. I Should they not let them go up anymore? I mean, what's the solution to it?
Well, who's making the decision? Elon Musk or someone with an experience that would allow them to make that decision safely?
He certainly has a preponderance of things blow up on him, doesn't he?
Things go bad around Leon.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you got to admit whether you're the biggest Leon Musk fanboy or not, you things catch on fire around that dude a lot. His
And
stuff
although he bought
catches on fire a lot.
he bought a perfectly good Twitter, turned it into an X, and lost $44 billion.
Well, you got to admit he's hanging with the right guy. He was making money on all this stuff until he hooked up with Trump. Well, once he hooked up with Trump, everything he touches turns to shit.
Including his dealership in Las Vegas, which went up in flames last night.
Well, yeah, it seems to be the new thing to do with your idle time is to go out and blow up a Tesla dealership. Not just in Las Vegas, it was in Kansas City, it was in New York. Uh, they're now easy targets.
What about their cyber trucks, which are coming? The glue inside is coming apart, and they're falling.
Yeah.
The
Well,
pieces are
again,
loose
here's the truck that was hastily put together.
and glued.
Um, they coming apart more than other cars.
Coffee.
From what I understand, and I have not driven a Tesla, so I don't know what the feel of the car is like. And I really, to be honest with you, have no desire to drive one. I've thought about renting one every once in a while, just to take it out for a day and see. Well, because I might do that, but I'm not impressed with the build quality. I'm not impressed with many. I am impressed that he's built a car company that is the number one user of supplier of electric cars in this country. But everything he's talked about is never met a goal. Every truck he talks about, every car he talks about is always a year or 2 years late. And the quality on these cars is not the best.
So his veracity is very similar to his buddy Donald Trump. He'll say anything.
As I said, two guys that have found each other that have similar things happen to them.
They met watching the dancing sandwiches, and their relationship is a little absurd, but still dangerous to everyone on the planet.
Well, yeah, they don't seem to be and they're dangerous to everyone on the planet, I think, for different reasons. Not the least of which they just both seem to be maniacs, and they're
It's just about as sick as you can get and still be in public.
well, I guess you could find sicker if you really tried, but you'd have to effort it. You'd have to effort it.
Well, on a list of the top 20 representatives of government on the planet, they would both be on the list, but for the same country. You have the
Yeah, and how
president,
does
Donald
Musk
Trump.
get there? He's not a representative of our government.
Well, he's a representative of Donald Trump's wishes and needs and ego.
Uh, and everybody's kind of waiting for that relationship to blow up because it's gonna.
Who's going to hire the hitman though? Who's going to be Frankie Valli getting out of his car to give directions?
Yeah, I don't. It just seems to be as with everybody with Donald Trump, just a matter of time.
You can see that the conversation happening. Musk saying, "Hey, I'm Leon. I'm not going. You're going. I don't go. You go."
Yeah, it's now the thing with the Tesla dealerships is, as much as I don't like Musk, as much as I don't like what he's doing, I really don't like the attack in his dealerships. I mean, I guess I'm less upset about that than I am people attacking his cars that are just sitting in parking lots because those cars are personal property of people. They didn't know that he was an idiot when they bought it, or maybe they did, but somebody's going to get hurt attacking those dealerships. Somebody's going to get killed. You can see it coming, and you can see it'll be something we'll be talking about, and it is domestic terrorism. I don't. It is. They are trying to scare people into not buying or not participating in those cars.
Or if you have one, not driving it.
Right. I mean,
you
can
tell
buy
they
one
are
pretty cheap
everywhere.
right now. If you want
They
one.
are everywhere in LA. You can't. If you get on the freeway and drive to Woodland Hills from Pasadena, you'll see 10 or 15.
Oh yeah, they're up here too. I mean, the whole West Coast has them. They are. There's so much a West Coast thing. But I mean, there's tons of them all over the place. Not so much in the Midwest, but the interesting thing now is that they've become a symbol for Republicans. 6 months ago, Republicans didn't want any part of them.
No,
they were seen as a tool of the left. And now, because Musk is so so right wing and so associated with Donald Trump, that now that all the Republicans want to go out and buy Teslas. I wonder if it's a grand scheme. He sold all the Teslas he could to the leftists. Now he's decided to try to sell them to the right-leaning people. I don't know. I don't know that he's that smart, but maybe he is. I do know that, as you said at the top of the show, there are continued battles with judges in the Justice Department. And I think that if you disregard the judges, if you disregard the rule of law, what do we have left?
Just the Department of Justice used as a cudgel, as a weapon against all citizens, as a preventive measure to get what you want, when you want, and how you want it. I'm not sending the army. I'm sending the lawyers that I have bought and paid for, and the judges that have been trained to not disappoint the president. And here we come.
Well, but they seem to be disappointing the president. They seem to be big time disappointing.
But that's his,
I don't know. Has he
solution.
won any ruling on all of this stuff yet?
No, he's lost them all, but I'm saying his solution is to change the judges.
Well, and that ain't going to fly.
I think you're right.
I don't think that's going to fly. I think that might be the thing that has,
Breaks up the party.
has Congress finally growing a pair and stepping in. I don't know for sure. I don't know. I know that Republicans won't say anything, and now the Democrats won't say anything. Now the Democrats have kowtowed and gone along as well. And I'm disenchanted with both. I mean, I've been disenchanted with the Democrats for a long time, but at least they represented some kind of alternative. I don't know what we got here. I think that we're watching it. We all thought the Republican Party was coming apart. Well, now they seem like they're
Well,
all on the same page.
they're held together by fear and loathing. They're organized on the option of please the master or lose your job. Please the president. Please him. And if
Well,
you can't
right,
do it,
Michael,
if you can't do it, if you can't do it out of respect, then just do it out of fear and shut up.
well, that's what it is. They're ruling by fear. But the people that we thought might be standing up for us, the Democrats, don't seem to be.
They ain't got the votes.
But they don't even seem to want to make it that difficult for us. They seem to be just as scared. Now, again, I understand Chuck Schumer's point about not wanting to shut down the government. And Trump, he doesn't care if they shut down the government. He's not waiting for Social Security check.
He has the powers increased during the shutdown. His abilities under the shutdown would have been more ridiculous, more preposterous, more damaging to the nation in the long run. And he could have prevented it from being started again. He could have kept it shut down.
Well, Trump sees it as, I think, and certain Republicans see it as their power. The Democrats had the power. The Democrats did a bunch of stuff while Biden was president, and now the Republicans say, well, we're going to get even, just like they spent how much time trying to get even after Nixon was had to resign, almost was impeached. I mean, they were pissed off for years.
And they just that pissed off met their pissed off about Hunter Biden. The two joined in the skies over Washington just last week.
The problem is that the Republicans have picked Trump, and Trump has made the cardinal mistake of pissing off the people who put you in there. And I think they're banking on the fact that they're pretty sure that people will forget all of this by November of next year.
No, I think we see that the groundswell is uncontrolled and unfocused, but it's definitely anti-Trump.
Well, that's what we thought. That's what people thought 6 months ago. That no way that Trump's going to get reelected. No way that people are going to go out there, and they seem to forget everything and vote for him. He told them what he was going to do, and they still went out there and voted for him.
Well, that's a fact. But now the truth is that it's not working. The scheme that Trump has come up with, which is break everything, is not working for the country.
It's certainly, at the very least, it has the country in a psychoschematic mindset.
We're in a spin cycle.
People are fearful. They're fearful that they're going to lose everything. They're fearful that, and listen, part of it's our fault. They're fearful that the economy is going to go belly up. They're fearful because they look at car loans that they took out that have interest rates on them that they can never pay back. that they're, once they pay off their car, they're still $15,000 underwater. Everybody now, instead of their houses being underwater to the bank, they have a depreciating asset that is underwater to the bank. So they're not going to, the car's not going to go up in value. It's the house. You can say, well, if I hold on to this thing for 10 years and I can eke out the payments, I'll
Right.
have more than I started with, and I can pay the house off. I'll have a place to have lived, and then maybe I'll have a little extra cash, right? Car's not like that. A car isn't going to do that for you, only in very rare cases. And on top of it, you have people who, in the millennials or young people, that looked at the last few years in COVID, and they looked at cars and they said, wow, look at all these cars that appreciate in value, because you can't buy a car right now because buying a car was tough. What they didn't realize was it was an oddity that wasn't going to last forever. There's people that I see in these rooms and in these chat rooms that talk about cars. Like, you buy one, I forget which one's it, Carvana or one of these things. Have a thing where the woman's looking to see the value of her car going up like it's a stock.
Ain't gonna happen.
It doesn't work that way. It works that way under certain market conditions and for certain cars, but cars generally depreciate when you take them off the lot.
You don't have a 63 Austin Healey in excellent condition right now. You've got a
Right.
Volkswagen.
If you're driving if you're driving a 2-year-old Toyota RAV4, well, I won't go with that because that car actually holds its value a little bit better. If you're driving a 2-year-old Hyundai, you're probably driving a car that's worth a lot less than your car loan, because you got the loan at a ridiculous rate, and now you want to go sell the car, and you go to Carvana and they say, well, we're going to, we're only going to pay you X amount of dollars for the car, and that's so far under your loan. But they say, well, here's what we'll do for you. We'll give you another car and we'll pay off the loan, and you make a new payment to us. So basically, people are beholden to these finance companies for thousands and thousands of dollars, which they may never be able to pay off.
That's the deal if you're selling cars. You're not selling the car, you're selling the loan.
You're selling the loan. That's why Carvana gives a car to almost anybody that walks in. I can walk into Carvana and get a car. And I have horrible credit rating. But all they're worried about is that, and nowadays they put a thing on your on your bank account. They say, okay, you'll direct deposit us every month $800 or whatever it is, and so you never even see the money.
It goes right around you. Come around, idiot. Come around.
So anyway, so people are depressed about that. People are depressed because the job market all of a sudden is flooded with people because of all these people that they laid off. I mean, if they laid these people off, where did they think they were going to go?
To the unemployment line.
If you lay off 30,000 people from the government, where do you think they're going to go and get a job?
And the Republicans don't worry about it. They say, well, they weren't showing up to work anyway. They weren't really productive. We're better off without them. What did they do? I have the faintest idea. Some of them are weathermen. Some of them took care of nuclear codes. We can't be expected to know what everybody's job was.
Yeah. It's crazy. So, at least you had these people and they were on the government payroll and they were doing things to help the government function. Now, you throw them all off the payroll without saying, well, do we need this guy? Do we need that guy? Do we need this guy? Do we need that guy? You just go in and blanketly throw them off. And all of a sudden, you got lines at the unemployment office.
Plus, the services of that government agency no longer work.
Yeah. And you've demoralized everybody else. at the.
I saw an interview with among Trump voters, and they talk like Democrats, every one of them. This can't be the way the country works. This can't be the way we hire and fire people. This can't be the way we run the government agency. This can't be the way we're doing. We wake up in the morning and expect life to go on as always. But it can't because of the chaos created by Trump and the idiocy and the nonsense that surround him and are in the wake of every move he makes.
Well, the guy told you that he was going to do it. He said it every time he had a rally what he was going to do. But you just thought he was going to do it to the Democrats.
You thought it was going to work out beautifully. See what he did? Isn't that wonderful? Look how much better the country runs now with no federal government. See,
Yeah,
I
I wonder what them women with the T-shirt on, you can grab my pussy, Trump. I wonder what they're thinking right now.
Wash that T-shirt and wear it again.
It's insane. You can't. I mean, if you want government service, if you don't know how to do it by a computer, you're screwed.
If there's a program that'll help you.
I mean, I had a Social Security question, and if you want to get to the Social Security office around here, you got to. It's like a 6-month wait.
Those questions don't wait 6 months for an
And
answer.
it baffles me, and then it doesn't baffle me because, again, we go back to something that we've talked about in the 5 years, 6 years that we've been doing this show, is that people don't go past the headline. They don't look at what this thing can do. I'm not saying you shouldn't cut government waste. I'm not saying you shouldn't go after fraud. But the result of it is you're going to lose your health care if you're fully qualified for that health care, then that's wrong.
Well, the fraud is Trump. Remember, the fraud is the solution.
Well, no, let's not.
The fraud is the solution posing as the true solution. It's not a solution. It's the creation
He's
of another
a fraud,
problem.
without a doubt. But there's also a lot of people who are gaming the system.
Well, first of all, that's a common accusation and charge. It's not filled out by the reality of what the damage that's supposed to cure this fraud has left upon the nation, left upon the psyche of the nation, left upon the federal government, left upon reasonable people who were doing a good job. You can't just say there was probably somebody gaming the system, so it's all right to destroy the Social Security. There might have been somebody left of center or right of center that was a problem, and we solved it by destroying the entire company. This is not.
Right.
This is
that's not what I said.
Baby in bathwater solution.
That to think that, and I think that probably part of the reason that Trump got elected is because you have people that see nothing wrong with gaming the insurance company or gaming the Social Security system or the Medicaid system or the Medicare system or whichever system it is. It doesn't bother me because, it doesn't bother me what Trump does because, my car didn't run 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and I reported it stolen. So that, again, he's a fraud, and he screwed this country royally. But there were a lot of people before the election who couldn't look past what he was saying and say, this guy, he can't do all of this stuff.
Well, American ignorance is famous, and we've painted ourselves into a corner on this one. We brought him into power a second time, and the payment schedule is pretty ridiculous right now.
Yeah, it's pretty harsh. And I think it's going to get harsher.
Well, there's two wars raging right on the front burner on either side of Trump. He's got Israel to his right. He's got Ukraine to his left. He's got Putin on the phone who won't agree to anything. So the slideshow that's turned out to be the Trump negotiations, which are for the most part non-existent as far as Ukraine is concerned. They're not involved in them whatsoever. It's a joke. It's a terrible joke on NATO and Ukraine and Israel. The whole mess is multiplied by Trump, which is a factor of idiocy that I don't think we can appreciate, because they're pretending that there's a real negotiation going on. There's not.
Well, and coming soon to a television near you, there's a heightening situation between Venezuela and Ghana, where Venezuela feels like they can go in and take over half of Ghana. And the Ghanaians are saying,
Ghana, African Ghana?
No, is it Ghana? No, maybe I got the name of the country wrong. The country that's right next to Venezuela.
Guyana.
Guyana, yes, thank you. Guyana. I always mix up. But I was reading last night that there's a
how are they going to take it over with Venezuelan gangs? They're just going to swear them in and send them across the border with weapons?
Might be. I don't know how they are, but we are. I guess the United States has a pact with Guyana that we're supposed to defend them if anything happens.
But our troops are in Panama right now, taking back the canal. We'll be there in a couple of months.
Right. So we're gonna get our asses involved in a dispute in Central America and South America, besides everything else that we're involved in. And I got to be honest with you, I don't know where they're going to get the people to fight this war.
Maybe we can hire back those prisoners we sent to El Salvador. So make them day laborers.
Yeah, so it's not a pretty situation. We are. It feels like we are devolving, and
we are Devo, DEV.
And I don't know exactly. I wish I knew what to do about it.
Well, like it is with all runaway trains, you got to put the brakes on first.
Well, the people we've elected to put the brakes on don't seem to be putting anything on.
Putting on a pantomime. Coffee.
I was looking at social media last night, which is always my mistake, and I was observing that there are a lot of people who are, talking about do this, do that. And I just wonder how many of the Trump people, when he has to send troops somewhere to take, I mean, are these people going to send their grandkids? Their kids? Are they going to send them? Are they going to say, okay, Billy,
take back the canal?
It's not going to be like 1941. And I think, again, we have a situation where you look and you say, well, the rich people are going to send the poor people to do their fighting for them.
That would be a first, Vinnie. That's never happened before. Oh, wait.
Yeah, no, it's happened every time, hasn't it?
That's what I meant.
Yeah, I know.
When I said never, I meant forever.
Yeah, it's been, since time immemorial. So anyway, it's not a good time.
These are ghastly times.
It's not a good time. And yeah, we have more than we ever could have hoped for in life. We can go on a computer and with the touch of a button, we can have anything delivered to our front door. We can have a car delivered to our front door if we want. But certainly our groceries and this and that and the other thing, we can have it all delivered to our front door if we've got the cash. But, you know, what's going to happen when the Canadians shut us off,
Well, Leon will fix that.
which they're getting ready to do? Because we have a president that is obsessed in this nut job notion. I mean, I don't know if you heard him on Fox News last night with Laura Ingraham.
What did he say this time? Not that it makes any difference.
But he did 15 minutes on why America should take over Canada.
Well,
I mean,
right
I'm
now,
convinced that this idiot thinks that we should send troops out to take over Canada.
these are the same troops he was going to send to Panama, or is he going to send the same troops to
Yeah,
Canada?
he must think there's an endless supply of kids in this country. And of course, so what's happened now? The Canadians, the travel from Canada to the United States is down 80%.
We're staying home and we're drinking Canadian beer.
When the Toronto Blue Jays come here, those Canadians ain't going to be coming down I-5 this year.
Not coming. Don't care. See ya.
We'll sit it out. We'll wait till you get somebody that's got more sense there. I mean, what does he hope to accomplish? You know,
if we're gonna annex Canada and Greenland, can't we get something warmer? Can't we annex Fiji, someplace warm?
Yeah, I mean, he's got a damn island in the Caribbean that he could dump some money into, and have a 51st state. But it just has a few too many brown people on it for him to appreciate.
They can be sent to Guantanamo.
It's ridiculous. The whole thing is ridiculous. And
well, I think the nations of the world, and NATO probably at the top of the list, think what they've got here is a madman, a true madman, a true lunatic in charge.
Yeah, I don't think the nations of the world trust us right now.
No.
I don't think Europe trusts us. I don't think
they're hoping we don't call. If the phone rings, don't answer it. No. Don't pick up that phone.
Yeah, I don't know that the nations, and it's easy to say, well, screw them. But I heard the White House press secretary break out a line that my father used to use the other day.
The French should be speaking German.
Yeah, the French should be speaking German if it wasn't for us. Well, not for nothing, honey, but that was about 60, 80, 90 years ago.
Things have changed ever so slightly.
Things are different. As a matter of fact, most of the people in France probably speak German, because most of the people in Europe speak 2 languages.
They're a little angry because one of them is English.
But she wouldn't know that. So anyway,
plus it's always nice to offend both your allies, France and Germany.
Well, that's it. We're managing to piss everybody off
easily, without effort.
And it's pretty depressing. At least me it is. I don't know. Maybe some people aren't depressed about it. You know,
Well,
maybe some people, matter of fact, I know some people aren't. Some people think this is all great and this is all going to work out. I can
no.
show you somebody, a couple of people on my timeline, they think this is the greatest thing in the world.
Well, well, your opinion is noted. The fact that you're wrong is desperately, desperately part of the problem. That's how we
I
got
hope
here.
they're wrong. I really do. Because if not, we're gonna get a real taste of what a totalitarian government is really like. And I got a funny
We'll-
feeling the peace and freedom loving Americans aren't going to love it so much.
no, there's a price to be paid for being this kind of an idiot. It's a steep price.
Yeah, when
And
they tell you where you can drive your pickup truck and how far you can drive it and whether you can even drive it,
you can't take that truck out of Texas, boy. You just can't.
it's going to get interesting, I think. But that's just me. By the way, Michael, happy St. Joseph's Day.
St. Joseph, according to Father Guido Sarducci, was not a good saint, but a great saint. And it pained him that St. Patrick got such notoriety when he wasn't much of a saint. He said St. Joseph was the guy that we should be honoring.
Well, the Italians certainly think that. They even make a zeppola and spongy for as little cakes for St. Joseph.
Well, that makes good sense.
Well, I always wondered when I was a kid, how come the Irish drink liquor and get blasted, but the Italians eat cake? Two things I both like. One is not so good for me, and the other one is not so good for me.
So what you're saying is whatever the Catholics offer you, don't drink it and don't eat it?
Well, it seems to be. It seems to be.
Now,
But it's
to your training and your imagination, what should we remember St. Joseph for?
I always remember it because it was my father's name. Therefore, St. Joseph meant something at our house. Now, there's often many St. Josephs, so I don't know. I mean, I always thought St. Joseph should be remembered for his aspirin because they had them little chewable tablets.
Yeah.
And I couldn't swallow kids pills when I was a kid. I couldn't swallow kids either, but I couldn't swallow pills when I was a kid. So
I had a hell of a time doing that too. I just couldn't do it.
I couldn't do it either. I couldn't do it. And so, but I could chew the aspirin.
St. Joe.
So, St. Joseph, the St. Joseph they celebrate today, the Italians celebrated, was the patron saint of fathers, workers, carpenters, laborers, common people.
And then was that Joseph, husband of Mary?
I believe so. Yeah. I mean, I've never been 100% sure on that. If
No, it
that's
was
the
Mary.
actual Saint Joseph, because again, there's different Saint Josephs, and I just wonder sometimes which Saint Joseph is celebrated on this day. And I guess, as in many, of course, there's like even with Saint Vincent, there's several Saint Vincents.
Yeah. Do we want the one to Paul or do we want the one to Fault?
But I like that the celebration for Saint Joseph
It's the parade down the
is
street on Christopher Street.
carrying fava beans. Um, so it yeah, and you know what? My dad wasn't a religious enough man where it's funny because they celebrated the Italians celebrated St. Joseph's Day, but as in many Italian feasts, it was much more about the food than it
Well, of
was
course.
about the religion.
Well, the whole story about the religion was very interesting, but it didn't feed anybody. So let's get to the food.
Um, and this is not a holy day of obligation, so you don't have to go to mass on St.
Whoa.
Joseph's Day nor
Uh,
St. Patrick's Day.
that was an error in judgment.
Um, and it usually comes between around the start of Lent. So where you're not supposed to have really joyous
No
celebrations.
dancing, no dancing sandwiches during Lent.
Fish on Friday, man. Even now, they still want fish on Friday. Now, it's interesting in remembering that, you know, the Eastern Orthodox Church celebrates St. Joseph after Christmas. So they have
Okay.
a different take on the St. Joseph. So you have to remember that. But the spongy, which is this little cream-colored, cream-filled cake, and Zeppelin, which is another cream-filled thing. A lot of cream going around on St. Joseph's Day.
Can't have too much.
A lot of that sweet cream, I think, is what they would call it. So it's the cream with the sugar in it and everything. It's good stuff. And if you're going to go to your local Italian bakery, get there early because it sells out. Now, the one thing I do
Tell them you don't
remember
care.
about St. Joseph's Day is it was a day that you were supposed to feed people.
Cream. Feed them cream.
Well, no, not just cream, but it was a day. It was a day that you made sure that people who didn't have had something to eat. It was it was that what it was. That's what it was a celebration of more than anything else. Is that you made sure that people who were down on their luck, and the way I remember this is my father used to talk about it, that in the Depression, my grandfather owned a grocery store. And on St. Joseph's Day, he would make these packages up, and give them to people in the neighborhood that were down on their luck. And in those days, everybody was down on their luck.
Yeah, true enough.
So he would make up like a little thing with probably some pasta, some cheese, slices, salami, some bread, whatever. And they'd pick a few families out of the neighborhood that they knew the husband was out of work, that were really down in their luck, and they'd give them, make sure that they had something to eat for that day. As soup kitchens were very popular. So that's one thing I remember my father telling me about St. Joseph's Day.
Elon Musk is going to shut down St. Joseph's Day because it's a corporate waste.
He probably would. And by the way,
and St. Patrick's Day's got to go too. There's a lot of waste there.
Well, yeah, that's drinking day. And by the way, can I just? I mean, I don't like to talk about kids, but am I the only one that gets creeped out by the little kid running around the White House dressed up like Leon?
saying inappropriate things to adults.
His son, X, I guess his name is.
He has a lot of kids. Why is that the one that always accompanies him?
I don't know. Maybe it's the one he thinks is, I mean, we're creating a typical um, dad always like it, mom always like you best, dad always like you best moment.
I don't know what motivates that sick fuck. I just don't.
Crazy, crazy. By the way, on St. Joseph's Day, um, things that are served, dishes that are served on this day, are served with breadcrumbs on them
How come? What's that symbolize?
to remind people of the sawdust that Joseph, the father of Jesus, worked with because he was a carpenter.
Yeah,
So they
wood shavings in his lunch.
they put some wood shavings out there. Some of these traditions are cute.
Come on, people now. Smile on your brother. Everybody get together. Try to love one another right now. Try that on for size.
It's the words of a generation, isn't it? And we lost the person who wrote those words, right?
Well, it was written by Chet Powers, or better known as
Dino Valenti.
hmm?
Dino Valenti.
Dino Valente.
Wow. From the Bob, no, not from the Bob Rebels.
It was before he was in Quicksilver. He wrote the song, and it had never really taken off until the Youngbloods did it. Jesse Cullen Young's vocals.
Right, and they had a hit with it twice, right?
Yep.
Yeah, they had it. It hit I think 67 and 69, or 68 and 69, or 68 and 70. But I know it's like 2 years apart. But I mean, is there a song that shows that generation, shows that time more than that song? I mean, I heard that. I thought about that song. Yes, I didn't hear it yesterday, but I thought about that song, and I wrote on Facebook on your post that it immediately took me back to St. Mark's Place,
Yeah.
and there was a certain smell on St. Mark's Place:
Patchouli oil and dope.
patchouli oil and pizza and pot, all together. And I should have mentioned also incense.
Yeah.
Because there was a pizza place right on the corner of St. Mark's and Bowery. And then you walk down, I think the slice was 15 cents. You walk down the block, and there was all these, hippie stores, including the Underground Uplift Unlimited, which is where they sold posters and buttons.
Yeah.
And I used to go in there and help the guy stock the buttons, and he'd give me a button or two. It was $0.25 a button.
The summer of love, baby.
We never realized how good we had it.
Too bad we didn't get 2 summers of love, just 1 summer of love. That's all we had time for.
There was a lot going on.
There was a hell of a lot going on.
There's a lot going on, man. And many people, unfortunately, were too stoned to realize what was going on.
Are these the good times, or is it always going to be like this?
And then people started dying. And all of a sudden, the people who led us, who led people with their music, certainly, wanted a better high.
Good luck with that.
Well, they got their better high. Unfortunately, Janice and Jimmy and you go through the list.
All the ones that made it to 27 years old.
Yeah. And there was a sense that you weren't going to live past 30. That you'd be dead by the time you were 30, so you may as well live it up. And in some of our most popular artists of the day, that turned out to be true.
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
Well, if you think it enough, I guess it happens, right? But it was sad because it was a good time, and it was a time where people, for the most part, genuinely cared for each other. There was much more of a sense of charity. How many restaurants in the village, I remember, that if you went there at, after lunch, after the lunch rush, they'd give you a cup of soup and some bread and something to drink if you had no money. Nobody let anybody starve. Nobody let anybody that pizza place I was talking about. I mean, I remember the guy that had that pizza place. If you had no money, he'd let you take out the garbage, empty the garbage cans. And he'd give you a slice of pizza and a Coke. And he wouldn't just hand it to you, you'd have to do something for it. And I happen to know that he had his garbage cans getting emptied out like every half hour. Because people that didn't have anything to eat would come by. And they knew that he would, he'd probably give out a pie or two a day. But he was making money. He had a good spot. He didn't care. It was just a different attitude.
And the song suggests that you don't love everybody. The song says, try to love somebody. Try to love somebody right now.
Try to love one another right now.
It seems,
well, you know what? Those days are long gone, Michael.
I absolutely agree.
And I don't know that we're ever going to see that again. I was, where was I yesterday that I saw? I was, crap if I can remember where I was, but I remember sitting down. I was in this place, this business, and there was a waiting area. And there was probably about 7, 8, 10 people in the waiting area. Nobody talking to each other. Everybody just looking at their phones. Nobody even looking up to see what the other person looked like, said hello. I mean, I say hello to people, and people look at me like I'm strange, like I'm nuts. I generally try not to keep my phone out in public because I'm more interested in what's going on around me than what's going on my phone. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, you've always been outgoing like that. You've always wanted to converse with people.
Yeah. Anyway, I am it's interesting. I'm getting ready to move here this not this weekend, but next weekend. And so I'm going through kind of 5 years of
Stuff.
because I've been in this place 5 years. I'm going through 5 years of stuff and looking at stuff and everything, and it's kind of interesting. I'm not making, I don't think, a move that I'm exactly happy with, but
Where are you going?
well, I'm going to go to this. I think I'm going to this apartment complex for seniors, and it doesn't feel good for some reason.
Yeah, something wrong.
It doesn't. It feels strange. I mean, I thought for a while I might be coming back to California, and I'm still not saying that that's out of the question, but I have to go somewhere in the interim, and so I'm gonna go over to this, senior housing and give it a try
Well, it's not
and
going
see
to
what
be.
happens. But it's tough to do. Really tough to do.
If it doesn't feel right, go with your gut on that one.
Yeah, but you got to go someplace because you can't. It's like being in a bar at closing time.
You
You
don't have
can't.
to go home.
We don't care what you do, but you can't do it here.
Right.
So we'll get it figured out. Maybe it's a whole new beginning that I'm not realizing. But it's tough. It's tough when you get to that point in your life, you know.
Oh, we're both there.
All right. I don't want to start a pity party here, so what do you say? Oh, by the way, you gonna watch the NCAA?
March Madness?
Yeah, the March Madness.
I don't have any dog in the hunt right now. I feel.
I have I have one dog in the hunt, believe it or not. I have a favorite. They're not going to win, or at least I don't think they're going to win. But this little college near Pittsburgh, Robert Morris University, or Bobby Moe, is in the tournament, and I
They'd be a
think we are.
Cinderella.
Let me see where they are. They're I believe. Gonzaga will probably win this year because they're like an 8 seed. St. John's is a 2 seed. Yes, Bobby Moe is a 10 seed, and they're facing Alabama, which is a
Goodbye.
2 seed on Friday.
Adios.
And Bobby Moe is a little college that is in Moon Township, Pennsylvania. And Bobby Moe is where, I don't know if you've ever seen that picture of Joe Biden, my profiles and stuff of me standing with Joe Biden, but that's where I met Joe Biden.
Moon Township.
Moon Township. Not to be confused if you go about 25 miles to the north of Mars, Pennsylvania.
Two different Moes.
Two
Bobby
different,
Moe.
well, a Mo and a Ma. But yeah, I'm all in on Robert Moses. Listen to me. Robert Morris. Robert Moses has been gone a long time. You can't be all in on him anymore. Although if you drive down the Brooklyn Queens Expressway, you'd probably curse Robert Moses.
They'll take your bet.
Has betting made, I guess this is something that we can talk about maybe Friday, but I will throw it out there now. Has betting made you less interested or more interested in sports?
It's made me less interested in betting.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. Betting is really it hasn't ruined it for me, but it's certainly taken a bit of the luster off it.
Well, it's the way it's presented on the sports shows. It's just part of the wheel of programming right now, and it's so unsavory.
Yeah, I liked it better when you didn't know about it. I liked it better when the only sign in the ballpark was no gambling.
instead
and
of
no
wagering
pepper.
here.
Both signs which aren't there anymore.
But nobody knows how to play pepper anymore, so they
Yeah, I
they
can't
fix
remember the
that.
last time I saw somebody playing pepper in a ballpark.
How come? What was the whole idea besides just being punitive to say no pepper, no, can't play that.
No pepper, no gambling.
One
Oh
sign in
my
the
God.
ballpark, one sign, one big one that they had to buy from Gino's signs downtown. What do you want? I just want a big sign that says no pepper. No what? No pepper.
It must have been interesting when the sign painter came out and painted that.
And they got to see it from the outfield. I don't want anybody mistaking this to be a place where you can play pepper.
We don't want people playing pepper here. If you want to play pepper, go out to right field and pepper. How about if I want salt? Get out of here.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, we're going to say goodbye to our audience.
See you Friday, Freaky
We'll
Friday.
see everybody Friday, and if the Lord's will and the creek don't rise, Mikey, hang on, and I'm going to say goodbye to our friends with the thought of peace, love, Manischewitz, baby.
What a wine. See you, Ben.
All right.